We are Rogue Media Sports.
Yo, welcome to Keep Stacking with Riley. Thank y'all for joining me today. Let's get into the episode. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the show for its third ever episode. Today, I have my good and new friend, Edwin, on the podcast. Thank you for coming, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to talk. I've been yearning for somebody to relate to my situation, and I'm excited to talk today. But I'm also excited to go to Jorge's after this. I've never been. Are you familiar with George's restaurant?
I'm not. I've never been actually, but Antonio and them say they have nothing but good things to say about restaurants up here. So the last one we went to was really good though.
Where'd you go last time?
What was it called? I can't even tell you, but they had 4 things on the menu. It was super good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jorge's is the Mexican version of George's. George's is kind of a staple in Waco, but it's kind of more so known for its Big O's, which is a large beer, and it's kind of like normal food, chicken fried steak, beer stuff. So this is the Mexican edition of that. I'm very excited to try it. But well, and I guess my first thing I want to dive into is you obviously have a spinal cord injury. Mm-hmm. That's how we met. When did it happen? How did it happen? Tell us the story about how you got hurt.
Yeah, man. So accident was September 22nd of 2018. Pretty much it started off, we went out to dinner for a friend's birthday that night and started, partying a little early that day and ended up going out and stuff. And by the time we got back home, we lived on Belton Lake. Yeah. So we got home and we always had the urge to go to the lake late at night, probably things we shouldn't have been doing, you know, what we always like to do, like night surfing, and roommate had a boat out there. So we went out to the lake just like any other night, and I dove off the dock, and so they had let water out of the dam.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the water was actually 4 feet instead of 20. We had just gone paddleboarding out there 2 days before that, so I figured everything was good to go. Dove off the dock like any other day, and it was 4 feet.
Jeez.
So, I hit my head on a rock and was paralyzed instantly from the neck down. So
and you were underwater for a considerable amount of time.
I think they said it was roughly about between 5 and 6 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing was, I didn't lose any consciousness or anything. So we're still trying to kind of figure out what it was that I hit. I didn't have anything on my head or anything like that. So I do remember shallow diving, and I landed the good dive. But so I was coasting into the water and then got nicked by something. So I had a tiny little scratch on my head, and so I didn't lose consciousness. I just paralyzed instantly, and I was just kind of dang it. So kind of veered and drifted off to the left, and my roommate at the time was looking for me underwater. Yeah. I think he went.
They let you underwater for a couple minutes. Or they thought you were kidding or whatever.
Yeah. So he was on the other side of the dock. Yeah. Thought I was joking like we always do. Anytime we were surfing, we would jump in and dive into the water, and you know how that kind of goes. You kind of stay underwater, make people think you're under there. Yeah. And then
sometimes I'd even play dead in the pool, bro, it's a joke.
Oh, yeah. No, it's crazy. Looking back now in hindsight, you're like, why did we ever even do that? Because we never wore any kind of, safety equipment. We always had it on the boat, but never really thought it was important to wear anything. Yeah. But now looking back, it's just kind of you see younger guys go out there and
please put your life jacket on, brother.
Exactly, yeah. Or even 4-wheeler stuff. You're dang it, please wear a helmet, But so yeah, man, I was out there, and as soon as I got out of the water, I dove in the water, and it wasn't raining. And then when I got out, it was pouring down, the most rain I'd ever seen in my life. So it's kind of I don't know, kind of setting the scene and the story for the rest of the new chapter in life. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's pretty much what it was.
How old were you at the time?
I was 26.
Okay.
Yeah. So the crazy thing was I just lost my insurance too. So my running joke was hey, I gotta quit doing dumb stuff because I don't have insurance, So it's kind of So by the time it was all said and done, I remember waking up in the ER, and probably already racked up over $1 million worth of debt. Yeah. So that's a whole nother,
It is a whole other thing. I'm very well versed in the insurance stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's how it happened. I spent 2 months in Temple.
And inpatient ICU stuff.
In the ICU, okay. Yeah. Because so the problem was I didn't get trached, and that's usually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
that's not normal.
Yeah. No, it's usually protocol to get trached as a C5, and didn't get trach, so we struggled a lot with oxygen and stuff, getting all that under control, and then spent about a month and a half to 2 months in Temple, I think. And then I was in Waco for 2.5 or 2 months because I had a second surgery there. So
What was that one?
that was exactly a month later.
Okay.
So I only got stabilized from the front. And again, funny enough, the surgeon that I had in Temple actually didn't do my surgery right.
Oh.
So he botched my surgery and ended up putting something in my neck that wasn't FDA approved for spinal cord injuries. It was for degenerative bone disease.
Brother, that's so many people in my area too. I've experienced this, but like spinal cord injury knowledge is not, well, it's not a lot, especially in this area. So I can relate that to Temple too. But like, I feel like the only people that know about spinal cord injuries are people at Tier, Antonia. But
yeah, I mean, it's a whole nother like monster, right? So like, even like you said, Antonia, she had to do a whole nother like section of study just to get very well versed. And typically if you don't see it, and you know, you've been to the Baylor thing where they go and see all the PT students, most of them don't even care about neuro until they actually see it. Yeah. And then, because I mean, probably studying neuro is not the funnest, but when you get to work with it and see it progress, it's like
super rewarding.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like it'd be the best type of PT to do. But again, like it's so I had to get a second surgery in Waco because I wasn't stable. So we ended up we reached out to a family friend who was a surgeon, a neurosurgeon in Dallas, and he was like, hey, his neck's not stable. He's going to need another surgery. The second they lay him prone, we asked the surgeon at the time, and he was like, well, if you want. I was like, hey, we've gotten 17 different recommendations on another surgery from 17 other surgeons. And they said, should have been done different. And the only answer was, if you wanted 17 recommendations, that's when you ask 17 surgeons. So that's went about it that way. I told him I wasn't in pain at the time, but my spinal cord was still compressed when I got to Waco. So the second they laid me prone, felt like a jolt down my back, and then I was back in the surgery room after that. So
how long has it been since your injury?
It's been 6 years, September.
So how does that make you?
It makes me 33 as of December 26th.
I was trying to do the math before the pod.
Day after Christmas, yeah. I just turned 33 a couple weeks ago. So,
well, dude, what's always on my mind? I mean, my mind is running rampant all the time.
I can imagine.
But what was a point? You know, I was at a kind of a turning point in my life. Like I was just finished baseball, had my first job, was living in Dallas for like 3 months at the time, and I was like trying to find myself. Like, how am I going to identify now? Baseball is not happening again, so like the athlete thing's done. Oh yeah, you play football too. We'll touch on that later.
Yeah.
But you mentioned whenever we first talked last time that you had a girlfriend at the time, and like I've obviously thought about girls, still do. Do you see yourself getting in a relationship in the future?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of one of those things that, like, I think the big thing, we were dating at the time.
How long y'all been together at the time?
A year.
Okay. So
roughly. Yeah. It was something like that. But I was in the same boat as you. It was funny because
we got entered the same. You're 20 what?
I was 26.
Okay, yeah.
So are you 25?
Yeah.
So you
just turned 25, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
exact same scenario pretty much.
Yeah, because it was crazy. I had just graduated from grad school. I'd spent so much time in college. I was ready to kind of start a career. That ended up like hating my career after I graduated. So it was kind of one of those things where, you know, again, playing football in college, being an athlete your whole life, now you're working with a cardiac rehabilitation center where you're kind of like dealing with people that have strokes and heart attacks. And so it was too slow for my liking, and I didn't really realize I didn't want to do it until I graduated.
Right.
So I went into another point in life where I was like, hey, I think I'm going to be a business owner. I opened my own gym in Belton. And it was very rewarding. Again, it was kind of one of those things where I think I'm supposed to be doing this at this time, but it was always a questionable thing just because I was making good money, but there was no, like, you see your friends, they all have insurance, they all have all this stuff kind of going. And you kind of relate that with what the norm is, right? And that kind of relates to what we're going through now. But I think comparison was my big thing. It's like, dang, like I need to be making more money. I got a master's degree. What's going on? And in hindsight, it's like, dang, it was like literally the most rewarding job I ever had.
Yeah.
So I was in the same boat as you. I was just questioning everything, kind of quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
And I kind of got to the point where it was like, okay, it's time to do something else. I decided to go back to school at that time.
Right. To do a different kind of like medical field
Yeah,
something.
I was trying to do PA. My girlfriend at the time was a nurse practitioner, so she was the one kind of pushing me to do that type of stuff.
PA is physician assistant, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is like a role of, what do they do?
So they're basically the doctor under the doctor.
Okay.
At this point, it's like that you work under a physician, but you're pretty much able to prescribe everything they're prescribing. I think except Schedule I drugs, which is like the fentanyl, that kind of crazy stuff. But essentially, they do everything a doctor does. They're just overseen by a doctor. So same with a nurse practitioner. That's kind of what she was doing at the time. And yeah, I mean, it was just crazy because there's not really preparation for a life change like this.
No way.
When you start kind of planning your life together, we were already kind of on a rocky road before my accident, just because, again, I was kind of going through that quarter life crisis,
Trying to figure out your own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't a good place to get injured at the time. So we lasted 10 months together.
After the injury?
After my injury, and we broke up, and we were actually building a house at the time.
Boy. So
she ended up moving into the new house built. I moved back to Dallas, and that's kind of when a whole another chapter started at that point, So, but yeah, man, as far as dating, that's what they told us at Tier. It's like a 99%
they're so
chance.
quick to talk about dating at Tier.
It. Yeah, it's like a 99% chance of things not working out. So, and the funny thing is, like, everybody that I was at Tier with that was married is now divorced.
No way.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. There's weird statistics that say if you're married, when you get injured, you're probably going to get a divorce. But if you start dating after an injury, there's like a 90-some% chance of staying together or something like that. So,
whenever I've thought about dating and girls, like my thought since the injury has been like, no way. I don't want to like bring them into like being another caregiver for me.
Right.
I don't want to like approach them, start dating them, start liking them, loving them, and then like the whole while they know like how much assistance and care I need. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like I didn't want to put that burden on them. I could see my mind changing about that for sure. Especially like if I could do a little bit more by myself.
For sure.
But I mean, like I said, it's kind of definitely an ongoing situation, and with me only being about 10 months out, I've got a lot more to learn.
I mean, there's just so much that changes, man. Like, and I was in the same predicament you are as far as like thought process on that. Mm-hmm. It's like, dang, my mom's struggling to help me with certain things at this point. But it's crazy because I think being in a relationship at the time of my injury was more detrimental to me than anything because I relied on her to do everything. So it was there now knowing the difference between being in a relationship and giving her the caregiver role. So I didn't want my mom to do anything at the time. And it was like, hey, I want her to do this. She's got this. And she was also a pretty giving person. I mean, she's in the medical field herself, so she knows what caregiving is. It's
kind of nice that she had so much knowledge about that.
Yeah, it's a plus and a minus, right? Because then you get kind of like the whole caregiver burnout thing that starts coming up. So you really, I mean, again, it's I think around that time in my injury, it was kind of like, why would I ever want to be with anybody? Like it wasn't surprising that she was like, hey, I think we should go our separate ways, be friends type thing. And that's what happened. And again, at that time, you're kind of like, well, your pride is shot. Yeah. You probably don't love yourself at that point. Everything's just kind of like, it feels like the whole world's coming down on you. And that's kind of how I felt, especially moving back home. I think that's where I struggled the most. The relationship portion of it for me wasn't as hard to realize. It was more so like, dang, I'm sleeping in the bedroom that I slept in when I was like 8, what I mean? So like now I feel like a kid again. I rely on my mom for everything, and but ultimately, man, it was the best thing that could have happened to me because there are so many people, organizations I got involved with that have changed my life for the better, and now that I'm a lot, and more than anything, it pushed me to get independent. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. So, so I think from where we are in 2 different times in our injury, granted we're going through the same thing, but I have a different perspective on it now that I'm a lot more independent. I can get out and do more things on my own.
Drive yourself around, Driving,
even getting dressed, showering, all that crazy stuff is, when you kind of push yourself to do all that, that's kind of the end goal. It's like if I do happen to date, I need to be ready by the time.
I've had that thought.
So it's like, and again, like whatever motivates you, right? It's for people around our age, especially now, man, because you see all your friends start to get married, start to have kids. Yeah. And it's you kind of take
feels like you're left behind.
Exactly. Yeah. But everybody, they say, and one thing I learned is, comparison is a thief of joy. So if
100%.
like the more you continue to compare yourself to other people, you're going to be miserable. So
Yeah.
you got to kind of just live your own life, tell your own story, and make it happen for yourself. And again, like you're at such a beginning stage for this
feel
injury,
really-
man. It's going to be, within a year, you're going to be in a completely different scenario. So,
Dude, I'm so grateful that you live so close to me because with obviously being close in age when we got injured, it's just like you're like a mentor to me, brother. So
For sure.
thank you for coming on the pod first, but your spirit and personality is very encouraging and inspiring. So thank you, brother.
I appreciate it. Man.
Okay, I want to touch on. You said so many things I want to touch on, but the comparison thing. So I even do that a lot now, like with other spinal cord injuries, bro.
Yep.
And with my hand specifically, like I feel like when I see a paraplegic, it's like, you kind of have it easy, brother.
Dude, it's crazy because they say a quad wants to be a para.
Yeah.
A para wants to be an amputee, and an amputee wants just to be less of an amputee,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, I think there's a point where you really can't help but kind of compare yourself. The crazy thing is, like, there's some things that we have that paras wish they had. There's some
For
things
instance?
like sensation, man.
Yeah.
I'm able, like, as far as bladder goes, and I don't know if that's kind of something we were going to touch on, but like bladder function, man, sensation is huge.
Yeah.
And
Like still
honestly,
we need to go.
yeah,
feeling when you
no,
go.
I know, and I can go by myself if I have to,
Yeah.
right? So just that alone, having the knowledge and the sensation kind of put together on what's happening to your body is a blessing. And I think, I may not have hands, but I deal with paras and quads almost on a daily.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang, dude, sensation would be huge. I struggle with wounds,
Yeah.
at least once a year type thing.
Yeah, me too.
And it's again, like, I didn't get sensation until pretty much a year,
Okay.
year and a half out.
Sensation like in your legs?
Oh, everywhere.
Okay.
I can feel as much as wind going through my legs now. Temperature is just now starting to kind of like get a little more sensitive.
Yeah.
We were in Oklahoma this past weekend, and it was, we had like 3 or 4 feet of snow up there.
Yeah.
And I like put snow on my leg, and like it starts jumping because it's cold.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, like, I don't know how cold it is just yet, but I know it's cold and hot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my body's at. And again, like that, there's so much to come with your injury. And I'm really excited to kind of see what you're going to get back, So.
Okay, there was something else I was thinking of. Oh, okay, para and quadriplegic. When you said the sensation thing, is it oftentimes like paraplegics are complete spinal cord injuries?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, too, is like knowing what you know now about kind of different injuries. If you think about it, like the neck, you're talking about tiny little bones, right?
Yeah.
Like the way it doesn't take much to break your neck.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times the damage to the spinal cord is not as hard, which means most people that walk after spinal cord injury are quads.
Okay.
Most people that get more back are quads for that reason, because you think about, like, for example, I know a T3, T4 guy from a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
And think about, obviously yours was probably as bad as it gets as far as like hitting and stuff. But, a paraplegic, a blow like a motorcycle wreck, that does a lot to your bones structure in there. So when they do break like that T level, it means the blow to the spinal cord is like almost twice as hard.
Dude, it sounds like his might have been worse though.
Oh,
motorcycles are so violent.
This guy I know was like in a coma for like almost a year or something like that. And again, dude, the more you kind of start getting involved with different organizations, which I know you're going to probably get to that point where we're doing skiing and all that crazy stuff. You're going to meet so many people, hear so many stories, and I think ultimately that's what helped me, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I didn't know. I met one other wheelchair until I got to TIR. I didn't go to TIR until 7 months after my injury.
Okay, yeah.
So I had never seen
a significant amount of time.
Yeah, I'd never seen anybody else in a chair. I had nobody to talk to. I had nobody to ask questions to. So it was kind of like, this is the worst case scenario, right? And until you see somebody else that's like a C1, C2, you're like, oh, this ain't that bad.
Right.
So,
dude, I had a roommate that was a C1 in my room at TIR.
Really?
Yeah.
So he was like,
nothing. He couldn't move his neck or anything either.
Oh, man.
And he had been injured for over a year.
No way.
Yeah. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but like it just seemed like he probably could have gotten some better care before that, but I don't know. And they kind of lived in a very small town, Wharton. But
Oh, wow.
I think about that all the time. Like, a part of me like wants to feel grateful that mine wasn't that severe, because he was in a car accident too. But
I think you go through phases, man.
Yeah.
And again, like I tell every injury or every spinal cord injury that I talk to, it's like, let the feels feel. Like
Yeah.
you can't like try to, be happy when you're not.
Yeah.
Like if you're not happy, you're not happy. That's okay.
Yeah.
Let that kind of happen, and then you got to realize that you can't stay in that slump forever, because you'll look up in 2-3 years have gone by and you're
Waste
like,
too much
"Dang."
time, yeah.
Right. So much life happens in a year.
yeah, it's actually crazy.
But yeah, I mean, I talk to people all the time. It's like, man, I've been injured for 37 years, and like I wish I could have gone skiing when I was 20. And it's
Yeah.
like now you're 55, 60, and now
you could have done it if you really, really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, and they
People
still
do it, yeah.
They still do.
Yeah.
It's all on how you kind of want to make it happen, how you want to
Yeah.
make it work, and ultimately, it's like, okay, this happened. What now? Like, let's move
Yeah.
on. And I think that's been my mentality with it, and I think that's what's helped me the most to kind of accept what's going on. And dude, I still have my days too, where
Yeah.
it's like, shit, I wish this didn't happen, or I wish things were different, or you still catch yourself comparing, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I think that's just part of. I think it's part of life, period.
100%.
So it's again, like, you're so early on, and you'll probably hear me say that so many more times, but so much changes, man. So much changes. So
I love that. Well, you brought up being around like other wheelchair people, and I said earlier, like, I've kind of been yearning for somebody I can relate to. Dude, I feel like I can't even relate to humans anymore.
For sure.
Like, so I think that's also going to be important for me, because just like trying to explain to people how much I can't feel and how much I can't do,
yeah,
makes me feel super weak. And there's no way to explain it to them, and I don't expect them to know, because they can't know
yeah.
how much it or what it feels like to not feel. But yeah, I am excited to get involved in groups like ATF. So
Yeah, no. Once you, like I said, you start getting involved with, like, ATF, High Fives, all these big organizations. I mean, man, everything changed
Yeah.
when I got introduced
Mindset
to them,
shift.
and it's just crazy how much they pour into their athletes, and that's kind of, what I want to do with my organization too. It's like, how can I pay it forward and be someone that I needed back when my accident first happened?
Yeah.
You'll get every question answered at that point. I feel like,
Awesome.
especially when you meet other quads and there's like 5 or 6 of us hanging out, and you're like, that guy has this,
I
but this guy
finally fit
doesn't.
in, yeah.
Yeah, and dude, like, I'm telling you, even the tricep that you have,
Yeah.
to be able to deep pressure, like, that is wild.
Yeah.
I know quads with less than what you have now, 5-6 years out.
Really?
And they're fully married, kids, driving. It's wild. Like, again, you're going to see people of all, like, abilities, once you start getting involved and stuff. So it's pretty cool, man.
Dude, I want to ask you about ATF, but then you just said something about kids. What do you think about kids? I've had so
Like
many
having
thoughts
kids?
about, like,
Yeah. I'm up and down about it,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like all my friends are starting to have kids now, and kind of hitting that later portion of my youth where it's like, I really just kind of wonder what my kids would look like
yeah.
more than anything. And it's just like, dang, there's days where I want kids, and, to have that whole life where you're married and stuff. And there's other days where it's like, hey, like,
There's some perks of being in our position.
I mean, like, if you're young and single and still driven to make a name for yourself, as far as what you want to do with your business and stuff, like, that's what I occupy a lot of my time with, and it's technically what we're going to go out to dinner for later today. But it's like, making things happen for the foundation, and then I think for me, it's like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then that's kind of cool too. But early on in my injury, my girlfriend at the time and I talked about, like, man, what's kids gonna be like? And I used to say, like, if I can't be the husband I want to be, then I don't want to be a husband at all.
I've had that thought.
And it's like kids same way, like, you're supposed to be the hero to your son, and
I want to play catch with them or teach them sports,
teach him how to ride a bike,
kick a ball through
upright,
like,
everything. So it's like you go through those points, and it's like, there's other things you can teach your son that I feel like, for example,
arguably more valuable. Yeah.
Like a good mindset.
Yeah.
Be the example of what it's like to face adversity. I got type of stuff. My niece's father is out of the picture completely. So, that guy's fully able and capable, and he's not there. So maybe even being there for your kid, like, so it's I go, like I said, I go up and down about it, but I think ultimately, like for me, I've gotten pretty good at just kind of letting life ride, and it's what works. It's what's worked out for me the most.
Trusting the plan. I like it
for sure.
I've had the kids thought, and mainly it's based around physical stuff. Like I can't play catch with him. I can't go to practice. And before the accident, I was dead set on being a dad. Where like that's what I was kind of looking forward to next in life was
for sure.
I always saw myself as a girl dad. And just so many things I feel like I would miss out on. But your point about being more valuable than teaching them to play baseball or whatever, that's definitely true. And I've considered that.
Yeah.
And I've thought about, well, then if I have kids, my wife's probably going to have to do most of the caretaking, if not all.
It's like going into a marriage and having kids, I think for anybody that talk should be had, right?
For sure.
Like what are kind of expectations on, having kids, being a husband? Like, you do know this is the reality of the situation, so there's women out there that are like, hey, I'm fully independent and I can handle this on my own, and you're just kind of like gonna ride with me on this thing, and that's cool too. But like I think the communication portion of the entire relationship should be that, like, if this is what you plan to do, then let's talk about how it's going to look, right? So, and I think that should happen regardless, like, business planning and planning for finances in the future. That's why I feel like so many marriages like crumble just because, you expect this and you expect that from somebody else. And at the end of the day, like, nobody's getting what they want. So
communication is definitely the key there.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just crazy how those thoughts kind of come and go. But I mean, like I said, dude, if that's what you want, like, I feel like that should be something that you kind of like should push you to be, better and get more independent on that end. So everybody's got their motivation at the end of the day. And I just wanted to ride my bike across the country or go skiing. And like now it's like, well, now that I've done kind of that different stuff, I do kind of want to venture out in that kind of stuff. But like I said, I just let it ride, man, and see kind of what comes up.
That's the best way. And I think just continuing to recover, of course, and find what motivates you. If it's kids for me, if it's your business for you, use that as fuel.
For sure.
Okay, I want to talk about your foundation.
Cool.
How do you start one of those? And how can I be a part of yours?
Lawyers. So like so everything started off for us as Ed Strong Foundation.
Okay.
When my accident happened, I was uninsured. So at first, all the money we were raising was to help me pay for bills, like help my parents stay in a hotel, for that. The gym that I was at and the people that I was training kind of started this entire like movement called Ed Strong. And I mean, nobody really knew it outside of like Central Texas, but it was still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, we were on the news here. We got a lot of media around that time. So, I mean, multiple events that helped us raise money and get everything that I needed paid. And from there, just kind of sparked the idea like, hey, man, if we already got this support system to raise money, let's start kind of paying it forward. Talked to the founder of the Adaptive Training Foundation, David Vabora, and I was like, hey, dude, I kind of want to start a nonprofit organization. And he's like, here's the lawyer's number. They did everything. It's just raise money to make that happen, and that's what we did. So they kind of took care of everything as far as like the 501c3 status, which is like your tax exemption.
Okay.
And then started off as Ed Strong, did that for a year and a half, and then I kind of figured it was time to shift gears as far as kind of who we served, what we did.
Your logo's sweet, by the way.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we went through a bunch of different like examples, and a buddy of mine who's a graphic designer came up with it, and I was like, I love it.
Yeah.
So we changed to Fearless Ventures Foundation, started 2024. So we just finished pretty much our first full year as Fearless Ventures, and we're doing different things like ski trips, biking trips, and we're able to serve more than spinal cord injuries. So that was my excitement, is being able to get an amputee to see a spinal cord injury do something, or vice versa, right? Yeah. Somebody with spina bifida who's born with a disease or a disability to be able to help in multiple ways. So communities are a big thing. I think providing the experience is kind of second to what we offer. But you'll be on a ski trip soon, dude.
Nice. I can't wait, brother. What's your role at ATF?
So I was an athlete there, class 19. And then when I was kind of halfway through class, they found out about kind of like my background and how I had certifications and a degree in XPhys. So they're like, hey, do you want to train here? And opportunity came up to have like my own athletes, and became a trainer there the class after mine.
Yeah.
So I was in class 19. And was a head trainer there by class 20. So I think I've been through 13 classes by now.
Yeah.
Had over 13 athletes there, ranging from amputations. I had a guy who was blind. Veterans and civilians, and just it's a whole melting pot of disabilities in there. So that's what I do there, and we actually start class in a couple weeks.
Is that the military group?
This one is the military of the mountains. Yeah.
I think I've talked to some. I've applied, and I've discussed trying to make it to the May one. I just don't know.
Yours would be the one after this one. You're not ex-military. Yeah. So you would be in the next one, which honestly is the best one.
When does it start in May?
I think it starts in May, but so you do like a 9-week program, and you train super hard, do mindset, the physical, all that crazy stuff, and then they take you on a 1-week trip after.
I heard that.
And that trip is y'all's for your class. You should be able to get in that class, but you guys will go to Idaho.
Okay.
Which is super nice, man.
Dude, I would love to go see that. Wyoming, Idaho, anything like that.
Yeah, I got to go with the last class because we were doing our biking trip. We actually ended up meeting up. And was it Stanley, Idaho is one of the nicest places I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, looks like you go mountain biking, you go, I think whitewater rafting. They do the whole.
That sounds kind of scary.
I didn't do it. They were doing it with the class, but we split ways the next morning because we had to keep riding.
Yeah.
And I think they were going to do their mountain biking like the next morning. So,
okay.
Oh man, you would have a blast. It's so nice out there.
So and was your biking across the country, was that through the Fearless Ventures Foundation?
It was,
okay.
Yeah. That was kind of like our first big, like, hey, we changed the name. Let's try to make a name for ourselves. But ATF was our biggest supporter financially. We had high fives on board as far as they gave us like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of
awesome.
helmets and gear for rain and for our bikes. We partnered with Shields. I don't know if you've ever heard of Shields.
Mm-mm.
It's the biggest sporting goods store in the world.
Okay.
They had like 500,000 square feet in Dallas.
No way.
It's super cool. But they were able to provide funding like per mile that we rode, and cool. So yeah, man, it was a really cool. It was really cool to do that and get involved with, like I said, the support from other organizations was was really cool to see, because here we are, new, very little funding coming in, and ATF and High Fives kind of took us under their wings.
They're big dogs.
Yeah, they are the big dogs. So it was pretty cool.
What's next for Fearless Ventures?
So we have a ski trip first week of February.
Okay.
We'll be we're going to Eldora. We partnered up with Ignite.
Is that Colorado?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we partnered up with Ignite Adaptive Sports, and they're hosting us for, I think we're taking 5 or 6 athletes.
Nice.
Everything paid for. We're going to take them skiing and let them kind of venture on the mountain.
Nice.
We have 14 acres out there that a friend of mine kind of donated, and the plan is to build some cabins up there. So right now we're housing everybody out of Central City, which is the casinos.
Nice.
So we're going to be doing a little gambling and hopefully getting everybody out on the mountain and stuff. But yeah, there's like 3 or 4 people that have never skied before. They're going to get to experience it for the first time. So
how do you ski? Do you ski with somebody behind you?
Yeah, so I'm tethered and I'm working on getting independent. But yeah, typically you're in like a sit ski.
Yeah.
And it's got a bi-ski, so it's got 2 skis on it, and then you have 2 outriggers.
Okay.
And you're kind of like going different directions here. And then I'm usually tethered. Yeah. What they do pretty much is just control your speed.
Okay.
Because you go fast, dude. I think I've gone up to like 45, 50 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty wild.
Did you ski before the accident?
No.
Okay.
No, I've never even seen that much snow.
Wow.
So yeah, no, it's super cool to kind of like, they say it's better if you don't, because they can teach you from where you are out there. So
makes sense.
But no, yeah, I can't wait for you to experience it. I've gone 5 times now, so it's super cool.
I skied once before the accident, and I was adamant on going skiing like at least yearly, annually.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I can't do that again. But it's been very encouraging to see people ski. You know Travis Gilmore?
Yeah.
He skis too.
Yeah, he goes to Crested Butte every year. He's gone twice. But yeah, what's his name? Travis got injured like 10 miles from where I was.
Yeah, both in Belton.
Salado, yeah.
Do you know about his accident? Did he do a flip?
He got like he picked somebody up and like tried to slam him on the ground, and he hit his head or something like that.
And he got injured in high school.
Yeah, he was at baseball practice.
No way.
Yeah,
I heard that,
like, yeah, man, it's just crazy to know like different stories like that. It's just so easy for it to happen, and it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what a lot of people start to see when it's like, dang, car wreck. I was in a car wreck last week, you know, like, so it's kind of crazy.
And one of my good buddies got injured in a car accident. He broke his back. Nothing spinal cord injury, but like I was like, sometimes I have thoughts. I'm like, dude, I mean, I didn't have to have this injury. I kind of got unlucky in a way.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say. Oh, getting injured at that age. Like Travis got injured pretty young. Michaela's pretty young.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes when I think about that, I'm like, that surely would have been worse than now. So I feel for them. I'm like, God, I'm so sorry.
Well, and it's just like you think about it because like some people see it's like, dang, there's so much life that he's gonna miss out on. But then you see like somebody who's 17, you're like, dang, there's so much that he's missing out on. But I mean, to that point though, man, you see Travis and he's killing it in college.
Yeah.
He's at A&M
He's got his own apartment.
Yeah, now he's living by himself. Like, you know, that's to me, it's, you know, he used to text me and him and his mom used to like reach out.
Yeah.
And ask, you know, like, but now it's like, dude, I kind of want to reach out and see what how he's doing that, because that's super cool.
Yeah.
But he's driving, he's living on his own, and again, like, it just goes to show the possibilities. Like, if you're willing to put in, you know, some of that
lot
work,
of effort. Yeah.
it's, and I think he was dead set on having like a normal life, and and Michaela's in that same boat. I think her plan was to go to OU or go to college somewhere.
Yeah, she was gonna cheer there.
Yeah, so I think she's still trying to make that happen, and you know,
That's
those
awesome.
are two people that work extremely hard for kind of what they want and stuff. So I don't doubt that they'll miss out much. You know, when you think about it in the long term.
Dude, I have so much I want to talk about, but also we have about 30 minutes, so let's make the most of it.
Yeah, no worries.
Let's see. ATF, yes. Fearless Vintage, yes. Let me look at my notes here. Oh, well, this is kind of a fun question. If you could pick, would you take your hands or your legs?
Oh, man, this is a game my sister and I play a lot. Hands or legs?
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
But are my hands the way they are now?
Yeah.
Oh,
With
I would
working
take
legs.
my legs, bro,
Really?
for sure.
What's your
Because
reason?
I can do. I mean, if I had my, and you know what's funny? It's funny you say that, because when I was at Tier, they're like, "Hey, we had to teach you how to transfer," and I'm like, "No, because I can stand. Like if I'm standing, I can stand. I just need to hold on to parallel bars."
Yeah,
And
that's the easy way for me to stand too.
Really? So yeah, you're able to lock out and
Because
stuff.
the standing frame is not cool.
Yeah,
Or, like
no.
I feel like I don't get a good stand, and I can like easily get right up from the chair and stand. Without any blood pressure issues and all that.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's good. And again, like try
Not
to do
easily.
that as much as you can. But I always used to tell them like, "Hey, we got to teach you how to get dressed at Tier," and I was like, "Well, if you teach me how to stand, I'll be able to put my
That'll be a
pants
lot
on."
easier. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're like, "No, that's not how it works. The insurance won't cover that or this and that." But man, I would take legs for sure, bro. Yeah, because I feel like there's so many tools out there for hands that you can make it work. Whereas like, you'd be fully independent on your legs. What? I don't know. What do you think about it?
It's a tough one, bro.
Because it's like, can I use tools with hands? But then it's like, dang, there's so many.
I love grip strength, and I want it so bad.
Yeah, dude, I was upset. There's some guys that I trained at my house. Sorry about that.
You Sean.
That I tell them all the time. I was like, dude, I was obsessed with grip strength.
Yeah.
Like, there's some pictures
so
that I have where I
important.
have like freaking. Well, I lived with a quarterback too, so he did like all of like these rice workouts, and we did a lot of hand function stuff. Oddly enough, and I would do them with him.
Yeah.
And when I started seeing the size of my forearms, I was like, let's go.
It's cool, yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think I would still have to take legs though.
Yeah.
To answer that question for sure.
I would go hands.
You would go hands.
I would go hands. I just I want to type, and I play a lot of poker, and I want to be able to shuffle the chips like I used to, pick up my cards discreetly without like dropping them over or something.
Funny you say that. We played blackjack this past weekend in Broken Bow. And it was funny because like we were playing blackjack, and the lady set up my chips in threes. Yeah. So I can literally just push them into and I could just push the antes in there. So she was like, everybody had this real clean like poker setup, and I got just like this row of chips. It didn't last very long at that size. I lost almost everything, but it was just funny. I would just push them on the table, and like she was cool with it. So
where were we playing blackjack at?
In Broken Bow.
Okay, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma. We had to pay the ante. But
What's the casino there?
It's a brand new casino.
What's it called?
It is Choctaw, but it's another.
Okay.
It's another
Location.
Choctaw. Yeah. Super small but nice. The only thing, I mean, you got to pay the ante when you're at Oklahoma, but
Because it's on the Indian Reserve.
Yeah.
Weird.
yeah, so it's $1 per or 50 cents per like hand that you play.
That's
so
how
at
they
the end
get
of the day, yeah, it's wild. But no, man, yeah, it's I could figure out hand situation. Like I
Yeah.
go with my shirt on, everything, get dressed. But if I could stand, oh dude, I'd probably run across the country.
Yeah.
Like
You definitely would after being injured for 6-7 years.
yeah, no doubt,
Yeah.
for sure.
Do you ever play Hold'em?
No,
No?
Dude, I actually don't know very much about gambling. Period.
Okay.
I learned how to play roulette in when I was in a chair.
Yeah.
Because we went to like my family would try to get me out and about. And, for the longest time, it was like, hey, let's just go gamble. So I
Yeah.
got pretty good at roulette,
Nice.
and then just started getting into it like more. I mean, I know how to play blackjack, but I started getting more into it where it's like
Know the
try
strategy a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
strategy and kind of know the etiquette on the table and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I'm down to learn some poker, man. I
I'd
would
be super down to teach you.
Let's
And
go.
one thing about poker, I don't consider it gambling. I think there's enough statistical proof and math involved that you can be profitable. It's proven. There's professional poker players.
My roommate tried his hand at professional poker. He was actually living in Oklahoma for a little
Yeah.
bit. A guy that I lived with, and it went south quick for him. But
Yeah.
but that's what it's considered gambling.
Yeah, for sure.
But he like lived that life for like a whole year, and now he's like has a normal job. So it's actually pretty funny. But
I
no, I
applaud him
agree.
for trying.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt.
That's funny.
Do you play poker often?
Yeah, dude, our baseball team probably played twice a week.
No way.
For sure on the weekend, and normally we'd squeeze in a weekday, but we played a lot of home games. We'd started going to the casino and playing. And like your first game in the casino is pretty nerve wracking when you like start playing for like more than $50-$20.
Yeah.
But I love the game. I play online a lot right now.
Funny enough, we're staying at the casinos, like I said, in Central City.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming for the next one then.
Yeah, I
no
would.
doubt.
Man, if you're not doing anything around that time and you just want to come hang and play some poker,
Yeah.
that'd be freaking cool.
This is February?
It's in February, first week of February. I think you're coming from the 5th to the 6th. But I'll be there. I'll be there from the 1st to the 10th.
Okay.
So, yeah, man, come up there.
Dude, I want to so bad. I feel like I need like a couple more months and I'm ready. I'm trying to get dialed. My friend's getting married in April. I'm trying to get like to where that's not like frightening or like I don't feel safe doing that.
Yeah.
So that's my next goal I want to go for because I just missed this bachelor party. But
That's what I was. That's where I was in Brokomo. Was for
Yeah.
a bachelor party.
It's like-
It's crazy, man. Like, yeah, I've been in more weddings since I've been in a chair. I think I've been in like 11 or 12 weddings.
yeah, that's
And
coming up for me.
You'll be, it's kind of, I mean, for me, it was kind of cool. It's like, oh dang, like he still includes me in his friend
Yeah.
group. That's pretty cool. And again, like that's something I was told pretty early. Like, hey, prepare to lose all your friends. And dude, if
Yeah.
anything, like my friends became better friends.
I
So
feel
like
like that too.
they've been like very supportive, very inclusive, and it's been pretty cool to see. Like, hey, dude, like we're gonna make this bachelor party work. We went to a cabin in Broken Bow for 5 days.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, this is a 3-story cabin or a 2-story cabin, but it technically had like a 3rd story. And yeah, they're like, hey, you guys ready to go play pool upstairs? Get Edwin, let's go.
That's sick.
And it was like, or hey, it's time. We had a chef there.
Do they
And
carry
it's
you
like,
upstairs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when we went for another bachelor party, we were in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And my buddy was like, oh, dude, the house looks accessible for sure.
Well,
So we
it's
saw
not.
the house plans and I was like, dude, we're staying what's the street called there? It's like
Bourbon?
Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
It's like these houses were built like
Long
not
time ago.
accessible.
Yeah.
So there's no way. So he showed me the picture of the house. The house actually looked very accessible.
Okay.
And then we get there and there's like 3 flights of stairs to get to the house.
Hmm.
If you can make it to the house, then it's accessible. But yeah, so they had to carry me up the stairs every time.
That's crazy.
So, but no, that's what, like I said, it's been pretty cool to see that, and like my friends became better friends, and they've included me on everything, and I've been in a lot of weddings since my injury.
Did you walk
man.
down that? Were you like a groomsman in all of them?
Yeah, and the groomsmen.
How'd you
and
do the
everything.
girl walking down the aisle?
So this next one is in March that I'm going to be in for my roommate Zach. I have a buddy of mine who's going to let me borrow like a little electric piece that I'm going to
yeah.
put on the back because his is at the Arboretum, so it'll be in grass.
Okay.
Thankfully, like they'll pick venues that are typically a little more accessible.
Not like gravel or something.
Yeah, no, like this one's gonna be outdoor, and he just told me this weekend, he's like, "Hey, dude, you're gonna have to wheel in grass." I was like, "All right, I'll make it work," but I already have accommodations for that.
Yeah.
But no, typically it'll be at a venue that that is pretty accessible. What they'll do is like either have her hand on my shoulder,
Yeah.
and then I'll push. They've had us do this, and she'll like push my chair.
While
like,
hooking your arm.
Yeah. So and then different things, but yeah, I mean, I feel like we overthink the whole like they're staring at me.
Totally do.
And it's like at the end of the day, like nobody even noticed I was there, like so it's kind of cool to still see though. But yeah, man, believe me, they're not there. The people that host these weddings, it's not their first time having. At least I haven't had anybody like, oh yeah, we had a guy last week who was in a chair, So they know what to do.
Not uncommon.
So. But no, yeah, that's you'll hit that stage of life, and it's gonna be a pretty cool one. I feel like so.
That's awesome. I definitely have more. Hold on. Look at this.
The funny thing is, like, the best conversation is gonna happen when we're done.
100%. Yeah. When we go to Jorge's. Okay, I've seen this from people. Like it's. How often do you think about your life before the injury? Daily.
I would say daily, but I think it gets to a point where it doesn't bother you as much anymore. Yeah. We were actually just talking about this the other day with my family, and it was kind of funny because I was like, Mom was like, "What do you think you'd be like? Like where do you think you would be?"
Yeah, it's kind of fun to think about.
It is, and that's kind of what it became for me. It's kind of like, and you'll look up, or even like I said, I was driving for a little over an hour today, and I was thinking about like. Because I used to drive these roads every time I went home, so it's just kind of cool to think back and like, hey, man, I used to drive these roads home and to and from Belton.
Yeah, UMHB. Yeah,
and see all these different like growth and stuff, and then I don't know, you kind of get lost in thought. It used to be very like I would have to like hold myself accountable to not doing that.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I got a different mindset towards it, where it's like it's just kind of pretty cool to think. Where like I wonder where I'd be. I wonder who I'd be with. I know like. So it's just, but I think at first it was like, it bothered me a lot. Yeah. To just kind of like dig into the past and try to live there. Yeah. And I would sink myself into a hole so deep that'd be like 3 days would go by and I'm like still thinking about it. But now I know, like I said, it's kind of fun to think about, like just kind of like, I don't know, just thinking like
you can kind of make up your own little fantasy.
It really is. It really is, and it's kind of cool you say that because like,
nobody can tell you that you weren't going to do it because
exactly.
You don't know.
Well, and it's even funny because like back in the day, I would even say within like the last 2 years, I would still think about it and then get pissed. Yeah. And then my mom was like, "What the hell? Why is this dude so pissed?" But she doesn't know the world I've been living here, like in my head, So like. She's like, he hasn't moved in an hour, but my head has just been racing type thing. So
it's kind of exhausting sometimes.
It is. It really is, man. And again, like I had to tell myself, like, all right, you're done thinking about it. You need to kind of like change your mindset. And yeah, dude, once I started getting busy with life, everything like flipped for me. So, and again, like I think you'll get to the point where it's like, I have a schedule now. This is what I do. And
routines are great.
Yeah. So it's like, I hope this thing blows up for you where you're like interviewing other people, and that'd be freaking awesome, man.
That'd be fun. So I kind of like it too. I've become more of a chit chatter lately. Yeah. Like I think because I spend so much time in my thoughts, like I have time to like, I've thought about this so much. Like at times, I'm grateful that it happened because it's given me some time to be still. And I think I brought this up in one of the last pods, but I want to share it as much as I can. Like I don't think I by no means have found God or like a relationship. Well, I wouldn't say by no means, but like I haven't figured it out, but I definitely don't think I would have figured it out had I continued that life prior. Dude, there's so many distractions in this world. Like drinking, like smoking weed, like girls. Yeah. And with all those pretty much eliminated, it's given me so much time to focus on what's more important.
You're almost like forced into that world too. Yeah. Like at some point you kind of think about it like that because I was the same way, dude. Like for me, like it became, I didn't see it as a problem before, but I was highly abusive on the Adderall and any kind of like speed.
Like when you take tests and stuff?
Oh, man, it was just like I wanted to feel like I was progressing in some way or shape or form. So I'd take 2 or 3 Adderall and then clean the house. Oh yeah. Because at me, like I said, I was at this like standstill in my early 20s, mid 20s, where it's like quarter life crisis, and I would drink, I would take some Adderall, I would feel like I was doing something. Yeah. And ultimately, like that was my downfall because that's exactly what ended up taking me out.
Yeah.
And then she looked back, and I didn't have a very healthy relationship with alcohol. I'm a pretty extremist. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it a lot.
Same way. Yeah.
So it's like,
I was drinking to get drunk, not like to have a couple beers.
exactly. And we had
Yeah.
this running joke with my roommates at the time. It's like, how many beers are we having? Is it worth the calories? Because if I'm drinking one, I'm drinking all 30.
Yeah.
Or, if I'm taking one Adderall, like I want to be awake for 3 or 4 days. So like it was, ultimately it's not really something I've talked about much either. So it's actually pretty cool to kind of like get that off your chest. But
Certainly.
yeah, it was definitely something I was abusing. And it wasn't until the lawsuits were happening and all this stuff. They're like, dude, you had so much Adderall in your system. They had to like clear your system out before they could even go into surgery type thing. And, so it's pretty cool to look back and now reflect, because it's like, yeah, how far was I from, to get into that talk where you're like, man, my faith was definitely stronger now. And I realized that, hey, you're here for a reason and you
100%.
have purpose. And it's crazy to think about, your purpose kind of shows up at, as if God threw it at you in a different
literally.
situation. But, it maybe took this to happen to make me realize it. So
Maybe we never know. Yeah.
for sure.
I obviously constantly think about my accident, but obviously a lot of regret, a lot of wishing that I didn't get as hurt as I did, because like I said before, I feel like I didn't have to get this hurt. But sometimes I'm like, sometimes around my house, like I feel like I'm meant to be back at home with my family for certain conditions. And what other way am I going to be at home for years besides this injury? I don't know. I speculate all the time about why it happened, but
Dude, what's crazy is like I look back now and there's so much life I missed not going home often.
yeah,
It was because I have a big family. Like I have a lot of cousins, and it's kind of funny how much we talk about it now, and it's like, oh, Edwin wasn't here for that.
yeah,
Oh, Edwin wasn't here for that, and that's like a joke. Like, oh, Edwin didn't want to come home that Thanksgiving because he was at his girlfriend, or he was here.
Yeah. Dude, my
he
mom
never
gives me
wanted
the
to come
same
home.
stuff. Yeah,
And it's like, dang, like you go home now and you realize like, dude, your family is they're
the ones that are there for you in times like this.
The rock, bro. It really is, and nobody, like, you may have the best friends ever. Like at the end of the day, nobody's gonna be there like your family is,
right.
and it did, man. It took me to go into the depths of freaking depression to realize that. And now I'm like, dang, dude, like watching my niece grow, like watching so many different other events that have happened, like it's, I just had a cousin have a kid 2 days ago, and it's like, it's just cool. And again, there's so much, like you said, I missed out on for not ever wanting to come home. Like, and it's funny, to tap on that, like I had my gym in Belton, and my dad had told me one day, he was like, hey, are you coming home, a couple of days before Thanksgiving? And I was like, nah, I'm probably going like the morning of Thanksgiving. He's like, why don't you come home like a couple of days early, like, spend some time here. I was like, nah, I got to make this money, man. I got to be a millionaire, And I had just opened up my gym at that point, and he's like, how about I give you $1 million for your legs?
He said that to you before the accident?
This was a year, roughly. I was like, nah. He's like, how about a couple million for those arms? And I was like, nah. That ain't gonna work.
The wise daddy.
You're already a millionaire, man. You need to come home. And I thought about it, and I was like, damn. Like,
dude,
that's pretty wild. Yeah, I thought about that for so long in the hospital, and I was like, I was so obsessed with like potentially being somebody,
right,
or, all this, like,
you were ambitious.
And that's just kind of what it was. And we talk about that all the time. My dad's like, you were a millionaire all along, and it's like you never realized it. But words from a wise dad. But now I'm just like, well, now I'm neither. So it's like, but it's a joke we got going on. It's kind of cool to think about back then. But like that, I thought about that for so long in the hospital too, and I was like, damn it, how crazy that this happened. Like it was kind of wild.
All right, dude, I'd say we got like 15 minutes, but I want to touch on your athletic career and the value that team sports has. And we obviously have a lot of friends from, most of your friends, would you say former teammates?
For sure. Yeah, no doubt.
So I don't have a lot of, I watch football. I know a lot about football, but like as far as how practice goes and how you connect with players, especially as a kicker, like who's your friends on the team besides other kicker?
Well, it was
holder?
crazy. I live with a quarterback, a tight end, free safety, and who else was it? Oh, and another receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of a mix. But the quarterback was my first roommate. He ended up being the starter at one point, but he was also my holder.
Yeah.
So we got along right from the get go and became good friends and yeah, ultimately it was kind of a solid mix throughout. But I had the same 4 roommates all throughout college, undergrad until they all moved back to Austin and was it San Antonio area. So New Braunfels.
Dude, yeah, I'm very passionate about team sports. I feel like it's just so valuable to make those lifelong relationships, and especially when you play in college, like you spend every waking moment together pretty
For
much,
sure.
unless you're in different classes. But that was one thing I was adamant on my future kids doing is being involved in some kind of team sport. I don't care if it's soccer, whatever. I just am so grateful I got the opportunity to play on a team. Well, I didn't play that much. I kind of sat the bench a lot, but
Hey, same, bro. You sit the bench a lot as a kicker, so it's like it's not until they absolutely need somebody they're like, you're in. You're like, dang it.
And now it's showtime too. Like it's all on you.
Yeah, but
Lights
no,
on
man.
you.
To your point, like I think it teaches mindset more than anything. Like you have kind of like this kind of go-getter mindset because you see a lot of people that are injured that never played sports.
Yeah,
and they kind of tend
it's
to
different.
they have a different mindset. They have a different way of going about certain things when they don't like pain, that type of thing. And they find a different way to be competitive and get to that point of being. But I feel like somebody with an athletic background like us has like this mindset of like, hey, I know what it feels like to work, to hurt, and to want something. So it's very rewarding to see like your work pay off because that's kind of where we're from. You know? So
easy to switch from working so hard to be good at your sport and then working so hard to recover and get your body back where you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, like even on the cross country ride that we did when we were crossing the country on these bikes, it was like, all right, I'm hurting, I'm sore, but I've been here before. Like I know how to handle this. Let's drink some water. Let's drink some electrolytes. Let's get that Theragun on my shoulders and let's go. So
maybe get some rest.
Yeah, a little bit of sleep. But no, it's cool. Like I feel like without a doubt, it's something that helps anybody with a spinal cord injury or disability for that matter. Like mindset's huge, man. And I think having a background in sports is the key. I think, for sure.
Well, brother, oh, well, I mean, I could sit here and talk for hours.
Same,
but do you think you would come back like for a later episode?
Oh, 1,000%.
Not that soon, but like in the future.
Dude, you let me know, man. Like I said, I'm here to attempt to pay it forward in any way I can. And like, dude, this could touch somebody that is just not going through it, whether they're 10 months out or 6 years out. Like, can you imagine like, hearing this and you get the best of both worlds, like somebody who recently, like, so 1,000%.
Recently in 6 years of experience.
Yeah. I mean, because it kind of gives a sight on where you start and where you can potentially end up. And dude, there's so many people better off than me too. So it's like, but yeah, 1,000%, man. If there's ever a chance to get back on here, you let me know.
Nice. I'll get extra prepared for the next one. But thank you again for joining me, brother. Let's go get some Mexican food.
Let's do it.
Thank y'all for listening. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you have somebody that you think would be a good guest, or you'd be a good guest, or you have questions for me, just shoot me a DM. Once again, thank you guys. Y'all keep stacking. Peace.